Hey guys, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast. My name is TJ. I'm here with Dan and Colin, and we're here with a very special episode of the Big Blue United podcast. It is the 100th episode of the Big Blue United podcast. So I just want to say congratulations to you guys for sticking it out this long with me, doing it, talking to the people.
Hey, I mean, this year it got a little better, so maybe it's only up from here. I don't think we might plateau, but I don't know if we're going directly downhill. So that's uplifting.
Yes. And Dan, all right. Oh, yes. All right.
Good. I'm glad we got that accomplished. There.
Thanks for that, Dan. Hopefully we have a little more from you during the pod, but if not, that's okay. I'm on some new medication. It makes me never stop talking. So, I can keep going if you want me to.
Wait. You needed.
Wait, did you ask me a question, or did you ask me to?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I just wanted you to reflect upon our time together on this podcast. That's all. And the only thing I had to say was,
is this 100 hours?
Where have you been the last 35 seconds when I started the podcast?
I don't want to share with our listeners the kind of smut that you guys speak about, but after a certain point, my ears have to turn off. I can't intake the filth coming out of your guys' mouth before this podcast starts. So I just turn off my ears to preserve my place in heaven while you guys will be toiling with Satan in the depths of hell after you die.
All right.
If there is even one or the other.
I don't. That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
As usual,
Colin's there first. I think TJ used to go to church every Sunday, so he's probably got a couple more years of this behavior. But Colin, you're already there.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Nothing can save us now. This is the worst opening I think we've ever had. The 100th episode, and then right after I say 100th episode, Dan's like, "Is it the 100th episode?"
And we're talking about heaven and hell.
I'm starting to think we should just do this over. Honestly, it's so bad. Let's just do it over. It was terrible. It's so bad.
Okay.
I think it's good.
I think it's great too. We can keep going. We can keep going.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going. I know we're gonna. Keep
let's
going.
talk about it. Let's talk about it more. Let's take a vote. We can get people to write in emails live, and I'll pick them up for the 100th episode.
We got to do a live stream again. That was fun for the draft. Maybe we'll get on that again this year, but who knows?
Perhaps.
I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, please follow Big Blue United, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, guys. You could follow us on Twitter, BBU Podboys with the Z. I'm not going to get anything to there because I was getting myself in a little trouble on Twitter the past few days. I
didn't see. I mean, what's the latest?
Nothing major. You can check it out. Just follow us. You got to follow me, bro. Us.
What's the handle?
Us. BBU Podboys with the Z.
Nice.
Cool. You know that. As usual, please download the DraftKings app. Use promo code TPPN. And our sponsor this week is Neven Eyeware. Come on. Gonna put our new shades on.
Dude.
And everybody
I just watched the Terminator again for the first time.
I love these sunglasses. They're polarized. They're awesome. They're quality. The lenses are great. I've been enjoying this a lot. The only regret that I have buying these sunglasses is Neven makes some really cool, different sunglasses that are all different, crazy styles, and they're all really fashionable and awesome. But me being the person I am, I went with black on black. But don't be fooled by our cowardice in our choices of sunglasses, because there are bold statements you can make with Neven Eyewear if you need to.
Yeah, we're modeling poorly the offers there. If you like those 80s style Nick Swisher baseball just high flying colors, they got those. They have futuristic Blade Runner style sunglasses, all sorts of colors. They give you a koozie and a bottle opener because that's the kind of people they are over there. These are party sunglasses for sure. We just chose the most boring ones possible because we're over the hill.
No. This is not going to be a negative. We went with Men in Black
classics.
We're classic. Yeah. We're just classic.
This is a Club Master style. I don't know. I went with gold.
Yeah, I got the same, but with silver. And it's glorious. Walking around Manhattan, I look like I belong there.
I think these are called Doom, which is a variation on the John Wayne, which is a little bit more fun of one. But these sunglasses are great and well priced, good materials, as I said. The lenses are really where it's at for me. I have Ray-Bans, and I actually like wearing these more, and they're about
Agreed.
half the price.
Yeah.
So
No, these are sweet.
Definitely, guys, check out Neven Eyeware. Go use promo code Big Blue. You get 50% off a pair of sunglasses right now. NevenEyewear.com. Again, it's promo code Big Blue. All right.
Yeah, get some of those flying colors one with that. Like, remember the one that didn't have the bridge and it just
Yeah,
was
Yes,
lens.
yes, that was so sweet, man. I love
Those
that
things
one.
rule.
That's like some Star Trek stuff going on.
I almost pulled the
Like
trigger,
LeVar
and I
Burton
was like,
style.
yeah, a little Geordie LaForge.
Yep.
I almost picked those up, but I was just like, man, I know these are going to be cool, and I want to wear them, and I just didn't want to have those fun sunglasses to wear like once or twice a year when I'm doing something silly.
I might go back and get a pair of those.
Yeah, why
Yeah, I
don't
might
you?
actually too. I might get another one too, just because.
Yeah.
Why not? I do need
Yeah.
some more fun sunglasses.
Spice it up, man. No one's gonna, what are we trying to prove to anyone?
I'm getting old now. What do I have
Yeah.
to lose? I wore black my whole life. I've tried to add a little color into my my wardrobe recently.
With dark
and,
blue?
Okay, yeah, some dark blue, some white,
Some gray.
some gray. I have an orange Knicks shirt.
Stop it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen you wear orange ever.
Ever? My whole life? I don't know.
No,
I don't remember.
I don't
Couldn't
think
tell
so.
you. Giants guys, should we start with our boy Kenny Golladay?
Yeah, I mean, nothing about this is surprising. I guess the surprising thing is the timing of it. I would have figured it would just be March 15th and we would hear that he was cut.
So he's not actually cut yet.
No, that's what they said. They said
Yeah,
it's
but-
going to be. They already let him know that March 15th, you're cut.
Oh, because I was reading that was actually not true, and that they haven't decided whether or not to do pre or post June 1st, which changes the numbers involved. So let me just go over it real quick, and then we can give our opinion. But just if they cut him pre June 1st, they get what everyone has been talking about: $6.7 million in cap space, $14.7 million in dead money. After June 1st, you're going to get $13.5 million in cap space, but you will carry over $6.8 million in dead money into the next season. So I don't know exactly where they should go, but I wanted to say one more thing about Kenny Golladay as a goodbye tribute to him, in that the Giants still owe him $4.5 million right now. So he will have made $40.5 million over 2 seasons, which works out to be $942,000 a catch, $68,000 a yard, and of course, $40.5 million per touchdown. Thanks,
one.
Dave. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. I mean,
yes,
you know what? Let's look at it from the other view. I almost want to commend Kenny Golladay and his agent for securing the bag when they both knew he shouldn't. And you know what? Making us look like fools in the process. Bravo to the both of you. I'm actually kind of proud. So,
like taking advantage of Dave Gettleman was a real stretch or a real difficult thing to do.
yeah, I know.
He was just like, oh, well, this guy's they say this guy should get paid the most money. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't need to watch film.
$36 million for 43 catches. It's pretty incredible.
Well, yeah, I'm saying they still owe him money, so it's going to be more than that.
Oh man,
Because he had
everything
40
I saw said that they're definitely cutting him on the 15th.
Yeah,
I read otherwise. So I mean,
I guess.
What would you guys do though if you had the option? I'm just curious because either you do it now, it's over. You never have to think about him again. You do it later, you get a little more money. Potentially you can spend all what you had in free agency, use the 13.5 to sign your draft picks for injury insurance moving forward. So I don't think it hamstrings you at all in terms of who you can go after in free agency now. But I think the more sticking thing is that he's still getting dead money next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if he doesn't have to be a walking billboard for it, walking around the facility, then that's one more thing. And that's why I think they'd be leaning towards just ripping the Band-Aid off on the 15th and just being done with it. I mean, what's $6-7 million in the whole scheme of things? We've been screwed for the last couple of years anyway. Just get him out of the building. I think it's time to get some new blood and just kind of move on from it. Just try to get rid of as many of the mistakes of the Gettleman era as possible to kind of exorcise the demons, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, good riddance. Yeah. What is it? Where does this rank on worst signings in history?
It's got to be in the top 10.
I'd say top 10 too, as well, but maybe higher potentially.
Could be top 5.
Yeah. At least
The
Nate
Albert
Solder played.
Hainsworth Washington deal was probably my number one, I think.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Well, speaking of free agents.
I mean, do you want to we need to discuss Daniel Jones as well before we head into the free agents column.
Certainly. I mean, it's the biggest. Daniel Jones is the biggest story.
Okay. I was trying
Giants.
to not just automatically lean into it like we always do. So, but damn me.
You know what? I feel the same way, man. And I don't want to spend every episode talking about Daniel Jones, but this is a Giants podcast. Your quarterback is a free agent, and it's the biggest news right now. So you have to touch on it.
Sure.
I'll just mention that we've heard that the $45 million number is a leak from his old agency CAA to quote make him look bad. What was it? I forget who. Jordan Renan maybe reported that the number would be less than that, but probably still start with a 4. So I mean, does it really matter in the end of this? What's going on in this situation? What's your read?
I mean, I guess I believe that story. I still think he's going to be asking for somewhere near $45 million per year based on everything I've heard. It's certainly, not great business practice to leak something like that. But I don't think he's going to do a hometown discount or anything like that either. My read on the whole situation, is that the question?
What's your read on the situation and the money for the contract? Do you believe that it's fake, or do you believe that the number approaches what the leaked number was? Do you believe he would sign for less than that?
I don't think he's like 45 or I'm out, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's near 45.
I mean, it's one of those kind of things. You think about it. You go into a negotiating situation for yourself. You're not going to lowball yourself. You might as well start high and be okay with coming down. So I don't know. Yeah, I saw that Jordan Renan thing as well, and he thinks it could be anywhere from like 38 to 42 is like the range, I guess. Which 38 sounds a hell of a lot better than 42, but I don't know. I'm getting kind of fatigue from it all, and I want it to be figured out sooner than later. And seeing
we're going to know next week, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, seeing some of the interviews that Joe Shane was going through with the combine, it was interesting to see how he was talking about it.
I mean, didn't he just straight up say that Daniel Jones was going to be the quarterback next year?
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. But I mean, what else are you supposed to say?
I mean, I don't know.
Be lying too.
Yeah, he's not Dave Gettleman. He's not telling every other team his entire offseason plan. I believe there is smoke screen and stuff like that going on.
Yeah, to me that insinuates he's going to give at the very least one of the franchise tags. And my question to you is, why wouldn't we do the non-exclusive franchise tag?
So that he can negotiate elsewhere? I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I don't think that they should pay him $40 million a year.
Right.
Even.
But I mean, isn't in any universe where someone would sign him off the non-exclusive tag and we'd get 2 first-round picks like the biggest coup in history?
I mean,
that would like rule. The biggest no-brainer that ever happened.
What is the number for that tag?
It's the same. It's the same price, I think. But
I think it's a little lower because you can sign
a non-exclusive franchise tender is 1 year NFL contract. The average of the 5 largest prior year.
Okay, so it's the
salaries
same
for the players at that position, at which a franchise player participated at most plays during a prior league year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's the same. I mean, yeah, I guess you could, but I don't see the difference if you have to give up 2 first-round picks, or you can't go bid at him at all, and it's the same number. That really doesn't change the situation, though, right?
No, I mean, I feel like if Joe was sitting in here right now and he was being really frank with us, he'd sort of be feeling the same way that we are. I mean, like, yeah, do they like him a lot? Both him, the front office, and the staff? They probably like him a fair amount. They might like him more than we give them credit for, but I think they're very well ready for all the other options. I mean, Shane said stuff about plan B, but that was within, franchise tag or re-signing him. I'm sure, seeing him walk out the door is very much so a possibility. And there's going to be a plan for it. I mean, if people are really going to be trusting and feeling good about this new regime and this GM, let him cook, for lack of better words. Let it rip.
Here's my question to you guys. What what do you think, like taking away, how good of a guy he is and, the lack of talent around him, like Daniel Jones in a vacuum, what decision on him is best for the Giants ultimately?
I can't see paying $40 million for him. And I'll tell you why. And I looked this up today, and the last 5 Super Bowls have had 7 different quarterbacks. And the only quarterback making more than $40 million who played in those Super Bowls was Patrick Mahomes in the last one. So what that tells me is either you have Patrick Mahomes, who is, potentially the best quarterback to ever play the game, or you have a guy in his rookie deal, or, you have someone, Brady was playing on a lesser contract and he probably could have gotten from them. I think, the only person, Brady was $28 million when they won. Nobody else even came close. Yeah. Jimmy Garoppolo was like up there too in the 20s or something. But what is that? I mean, like there's data right here. What does that show you? It's just like you're going to throw money at this guy and then your roster already sucks. Like the Giants have just been perpetual hell. Like we had the worst roster and the worst cap situation and have just been in a rut. Like, you're going to go ahead now and admit that it's not rebuilding by giving this guy $40 million and your roster's already bad. I think it's just time to admit that we're not as good as we think we are. And we need to, really rebuild from the ground up and do it the right way and not just kind of be stuck in purgatory.
Yeah, I'm with that 1000%. I have a question for the both of you because I feel like this would be very interesting, and it's two-parted. The first is, remember that article that I sent you the other day of that incredibly damning article that it was just like all the stats spelled out of how bad and how much regression has actually been had on
how he's actually had a worse season this season than he did prior.
Outside of the red zone, though, make sure we're not, specifying.
Yes, and they said that in that article as well. He's had a very large uptick in the red zone, but I think that's more about coaching and scheme than anything else. But anyway, do you think there's ever a scenario that, I mean, I'm trying to think if there would be, like, is there a conversation that's ever had where on the board are all of those stats from that article, and you have Daniel come in the room and you ask him, why should we give you $45 million? Look at these stats right here from the last 2 years. What do you say about that, Daniel?
I'd be so curious to know what if you could do that in negotiation or what, like how adversarial does it get? Because that seems quite adversarial to me.
Well, I don't think Daniel Jones says anything in this. I think he's the kind of guy that has his agent do everything.
Okay, well, we'll change the.
But no. But in the hypothetical, I don't know. I would think Daniel Jones would say. It's about the work he put in, about being the first guy in, about being a leader, about, putting his, career on the line by rushing like an idiot whenever he gets the chance and not protecting his body, by winning over the fan base, by,
the intangibles
not getting,
you're saying.
by surviving full bloom love of David Gettleman. Because if he just can't point to the stats. If they get an argument about stats, there's no way you can draw up any of his stats that would be commensurate with the amount of money he's expecting. And obviously we have to acknowledge that salary caps are going up, quarterback salaries are going up. But if you compare him to anyone in the top 10 in the NFL, as far as statistically or popular like conception of quarterback, he's not as good as any of those guys by a long shot.
He might
usually in these negotiations you have to draw parallel like player comps, and he's Mike Tannehill.
Well, yeah, or
not Mike Tannehill. Yeah, Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill.
Well, Daniel himself might even be. You can harken back to a not so long gone quarterback that didn't have the greatest stats of all time, but we somehow won 2 Super Bowls with him. And he might be like, well, why don't you look at that guy's stats? They kind of sucked for a long time, but you stuck with him. Why wouldn't you do the same for me?
Because that doesn't give you the best chance of winning.
I know, but that's his argument.
The landscape has changed too, I feel like, a bit. I don't think
and Eli was a much better quarterback than Daniel Jones ever was.
Eli had situations where he was just so good. And I don't see Daniel Jones, thriving necessarily in those situations. I mean, How many fourth quarter comebacks does Daniel Jones have?
I don't know.
Has he ever like thrown for 5 touchdown passes?
No.
I mean, Eli Manning almost threw for 5,000 yards one season. Do you think Daniel Jones could throw for 5,000 yards in a season?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, they're different kinds of quarterbacks, but still,
I know it's just
not the
so
same.
damn tough. I mean, and Eli comes from a different era too. I mean, even though it's not that long ago, it's definitely a changing of hands. So you will see more of these dual threat across the board. It's not the anomaly that the Vicks of the world were back in the day. Now it's happening. Every other team has a quarterback like that. So
you called this in middle school, by the way. You told me that.
Did I?
That when you first saw Michael Vick, you're like, all the quarterbacks are going to be like this one day.
I didn't say that.
It only took 20 years, but you were right. No, I remember you saying it because I told my dad, and my dad was like, no way. It's always going to be a white guy who can't run back there. and like fewer words, different words than that. I was like, okay, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
That's funny. That's funny. You remember that.
I do. Yeah. I mean, I just look at like the Eagles right now, and Jalen Hurts get paid $5 million a year, and look at the roster they assembled.
Well, how
It's
long does that
absolute
last,
insanity.
though?
Well, he's going to have to get paid too. But hey, look, their Super Bowl window is wide open right now.
Yeah.
So, the Giants don't have, if you sign him to this deal, you don't have that opportunity to get a really good roster together because you're not overpaying your quarterback and, your running back too, which is another conversation, which apparently they're close on a deal between Saquon and the Giants apparently as well. At least that's what I've heard. I mean, at this point, I'm just like, I don't want either of these guys to be back on the team. I really don't.
Well, let me ask you this. If for some strange reason you do hear that Saquon is re-signed, but then you see the details of the contract itself and it's like a hell of a lot more team friendly than you'd expect, how do you feel about that?
Sure.
I mean, fine. If it's team friendly, great. I think team friendly in this situation with a running back means that you can cut him without dead cap at basically any point, because he's, he has an injury history. He's going to get more tread on his tires every time he carries the ball. Yeah. And, at this point, it's just like we talked about the guys available last week. And there's plenty of people who could come in, put 1,000 yards in the ground and get you 10 touchdowns or whatever, 5 to 8 touchdowns. And you pay him $2 million a year. Instead, you're looking to pay $12 million a year for, a great weapon, a great player. But it doesn't sit right with me to be spending that money. And if Saquon was more involved in the pass game, then I might potentially, be happier with that number. But it doesn't seem like they're either utilizing him or he's fitting into the scheme. I don't know what it is, but he has some success. It's just not what it was his rookie year.
Yeah.
He caught 90 balls his rookie year or something.
Yeah, what happened to that? Well, that was mostly dump passes and screens.
All the Giants do is dump passes. Jones averages 6.7 yards a throw.
Yeah, well. I
mean, I don't know.
You have to spread the ball around to all the other garbage running around out there. Sorry, all of the wide receiver core that we support always.
NBA fans, it's time to bring the hoops action to the palm of your hand with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, opt in, and place a same-game parlay on any NBA game, and if it doesn't hit, you get a free bet back. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with promo code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. With code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void in Ohio. See show notes for details. That's a rough room right now. The Giants have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no.
What wide receivers are on the roster? Wandale,
Hodgins.
I
mean, including the current free agents or you're
no, like just literally people under contract right now. I think it's just them.
Well, David Sills is out.
David Sills is out. Marcus Johnson. Yeah, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think any of those guys are coming back.
It's possible that 95% of the wide receiver room is going to be completely different next year.
Yeah.
Be
worse.
Not to mention, I don't know. I feel bad because it's inevitable, but I mean, Sterling's out. I mean, I don't imagine him being re-signed unless,
No chance.
no chance. I don't even know if he'd go anywhere else or if anyone would pick him up at this
He
point.
could probably get a 1-year injury deal, but my guess is that he'll get hurt again. He should probably just retire.
God, I love that guy. I want him to become a coach.
I love him too, man.
Bring him home. Bring him home like a Charles Way or a Jesse Armstead kind of character. Good for the locker room.
Yeah.
Dan's guys.
Yeah. Coaches should be good for the locker room.
You're right. They should. That's exactly right.
It's a very controversial statement.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man. Oh, I saw on Twitter that somebody was arguing that Darius Slayton could get $10 million a year on the open market.
Oh,
That's
I
crazy.
saw that too. Get out of here.
I was
That's crazy.
laughing, and I was like, in what reality?
Yeah.
I mean, man, what a sad story Darius Slayton is. And I like Darius Slayton and I like him as a person. I like him as a player, but and he's good. Like, he can create separation. He has physical tools. You just can't catch the ball.
That's your only job.
So unfortunate. Oh, man. But yeah, let's move into free agents. We did most of the offense last week, but we still need to hit on tight end, and then we'll do the defense. Tight end wise, guys out there, who are y'all looking at? And do you think Bellinger is the entrenched starter, or should they bring someone in to compete with him?
I mean,
not that training camp isn't a competition, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that it would be foolish for them to automatically lean into him being the number one. You can have like a 1 and a 1A kind of situation. I don't know what kind of offense that because we think about this. I mean, we've not truly seen the offense that Dable wants to run, because I'm sure he's still trying to cycle in players that are like his kind of guys, obviously, as he's, heaving the garbage to the curb in the Kenny Golladays of the world. So I don't know. I look at this list and it's not like the most exciting thing ever. I mean, you see Evan Ingram there, which is hilarious. I mean, you'd have to imagine that Jacksonville would probably re-sign him just because he had a pretty decent year. I know before we jumped on, TJ, you said Austin Hooper would be a dream of yours. I think that would be sort of in line with, I don't know. I feel like it would be a lower level guy, like someone we don't even really know very much. Just cause, I don't know if it's going to be big star kind of characters. I mean, the Mike Gesicki's of the world are great, but I don't know. Do you spend money on someone like that?
I don't think you spend, $10 million on a free agent tight end with this team where we're at, and the production you're getting from Bellinger and other sort of replacement level guys. The only guy that sort of stood out to me, and this is a strange one. I wonder if you remember this guy, TJ or Colin. Do you remember Tyree Jackson? He was a quarterback coming out of Buffalo. He was like 6'7". I remember watching him in the combine. I think it was like 2018. Anyway, he's a tight end on Philly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like, he's a restricted free agent, athletic freak, who'd probably demand, $1 million, a year contract. Like that's the kind of thing that like excites me. Like I don't want to spend $8 million on Foster Moreau or Irv Smith. Like Irv Smith would be cool, but you're gonna have to spend $10 million on Irv Smith.
Yeah, and plus you're seeing this this tweener stuff happening. I mean, even with us with what's his name, the tight end that was a former wide receiver that played a bunch this year, number 84. Why I can't think of his name.
Cager.
Yeah, Cager. Same exact kind of situation. I feel like you're seeing more of that in between guy that you don't have to worry about blocking as much. He's just kind of a taller dude getting out there. But
yeah, I mean, to me, tight end, I look to the draft, especially this draft. It's super deep at tight end. And I wouldn't be against spending sort of like a third, fourth round pick at the position. Or if something falls, I would even take someone with like insane measurables, which I think we're about to find out in the combine. There's a few guys that are like true freaks.
Ooh, I have a
tight
favorite
ends in the combine. Yeah. Oh, we're all on the same page. We'll
okay.
Definitely get to that. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a favorite in this group because I think we should draft somebody. And I do have a guy in mind, but I think a lot of people have the same guy in mind after his combine performance. But we'll talk about that in a second. Anyone else on offense? I think, last week we kind of hit everything. The only position we really didn't talk about was left or right tackle, which I don't think we need to talk about.
No,
Unless you
I
want
think
to talk about backups, and I don't think that's that interesting.
No. I mean, Evan Neal had a down
Yeah.
year, but I think it was because he was still learning the ropes. So let him figure it out.
Yeah. On defense, guys, positions in need, I have written down basically just cornerback and linebacker. Maybe you could add edge rusher, interior defensive line, but not somebody who is going to be like a starter, more of like a third guy, rotational guy. Anything else you guys think the Giants should go after? Doesn't seem to be much. That's really the deficiencies.
I mean, frankly, it's not exactly a defensive position, but I think we could keep our eyes peeled for a good punter. No offense to the Scottish Hammer, but
they need a kick returner too. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's we'll talk about that later down the line, but it just kind of jumped in my head right now. I mean, I think the cornerback and linebacker is definitely number 1 and 2
for sure. Let's start cornerback. Dan, who's your number 1?
I don't know. I got to look it up.
All right, Colin, who's your number 1?
I mean, just looking at the list right now and how I feel about it, I'm number 1 in terms of just pure talent, and let's get them.
No, I want to know who you think the Giants should go after, not just who's the best.
Eli Apple.
Oh God, I no, hell no, I could never. I don't know, maybe a Kyle Fuller.
Wait, can we just set the table real quick?
Yeah.
Set the table. I like that.
Let's assume we are giving Daniel Jones a franchise tag, right?
Okay.
Which is $32 million.
Yep.
And we're cutting Saquon. How much cap does that leave us for free agents? Is that somewhere around
what's 50
20 million?
18 about
18, right? So
if you cut Kenny Golladay pre June 15th,
which I think they will.
Okay, so you have about 50 in total space minus the 32. So there you are. But I mean, I think I don't. I don't mind creating the hypothetical.
Just to gauge prices. It was
sure.
Because when we're talking cornerbacks, you can sign a free agent cornerback for $15 million a year and then have
you certainly can.
So, and for me, I think as with you guys, my personal preference would be to sign a to spend more money on wide receiver in free agency. But I don't know. Let me take a quick look here.
I mean, in my mind, I think they could either go two ways here, and one is to go after someone young and spend a little more money, or I think there's a few older guys out there that you could maybe have bridge, who are a big upgrade over Moreau, who you could get for less money.
You're saying a true Sam Madison situation.
Sure, man. And I think the guy in that situation this year is Patrick Peterson, who I think looks to get $6.5 million. He still can play. It was 82.5 PFF coverage grade last year. I mean, he's older. But hey, I think that more importantly in the whole cornerback, discussion is that Wink Martindale thrives when he has good corners. And if the Giants, if Patrick Peterson can come in and immediately be a really solid second option across from Adoree Jackson, who had a really good year last year. I won't say great, but really good. I think that really opens up your defense and your blitz packages because, if you look at the personnel situations, the Giants did have more DBs in the field for more snaps than anyone else in the league. So, I like that. And then if they wanted to go in the other direction, go younger, I think you either have Cameron Sutton or Emmanuel Mosley from San Fran out there. Both had really good years. Mosley's coming off an ACL, but I think that he was really playing super well before that happened. And I think you get him for less money because of it. And he's young. 26 years old. So, I mean, you might be able to sign him to a really team-friendly deal while he proves himself back. And I think that's might be a really good investment for them. And Sutton, last year was allowed 32 receptions. Pretty decent. 44.4 completion percentage rate. I think that, he could also be got for $7.5 million a year. And he's also, a younger guy. I like both of them personally, but it depends on where they want to go. I could go either way.
It gives me anxiety to think about having to try to figure out the acrobatics of the salary cap and trying to sign people. Just touching on it a little bit like this, Dan, with your scenario, makes me want to go, pull a blanket over my head and cry.
I think what you don't even have to look at it from any, lens. I think what you just want to look for, and I think, any situation in life, you're trying to look for the most value for the lowest amount of money.
Yeah.
So I think, that's where you want to look and do the opposite of Dave Gettleman. Don't just throw money at the number one guy, pay attention to the lower tier guys and make guesses and assumptions about how maybe they could grow on your squad with your coaching staff. I think that's what good franchises do.
Yeah, it certainly is.
I don't know. How about James Bradbury? You want to bring him back?
I mean,
he might be cheaper.
Hey, you know what? If he is cheaper, I wouldn't hate it. I really wouldn't.
He had a great year. I saw him and Darius Slay, both the Eagles corners, in a lot of top 10, top 5 quarterbacks of the year lists as the weeks went on.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be well over $10 million a year, though.
Probably.
I think Sport Track only had him at like 7.5, but he might get more.
That's how much he's getting now. He's projected for 15.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I think the Giants are paying something like that too. Amazing how he didn't take a pay cut to stay with the Giants.
We got to say that every episode.
Well, if I'm going based on name only,
Rock Ya-Sin.
Rock Ya-Sin, of course, number 1, but number 2, Rashad Wildgoose, of course.
Oh yeah, we could forget Rashad Wildgoose. Who's he play for?
Washington.
I
don't think I've ever seen him play. Who the hell knows? I
remember seeing his name.
I do have Fabian Moreau on my list. Of
for
the Giants actually.
That guy, he had some rough games, but he wasn't awful, and I wouldn't count on him as a number 2 guy. Yeah. Although he couldn't play slot either, so he doesn't really.
No, but like he's he's like your fourth defensive back or something like that.
Yeah,
or your fifth or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sixth.
That's maybe off the team. That's what Dan's trying to say.
I'm just saying, what something we've always said was
you need a lot of
have
defensive
enough
backs,
corners, man. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Never have enough corners.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you guys like on this list?
Well, I said before, Kyle Fuller would have been an interesting one.
Well, I'm just curious. Do you guys think the Giants should splurge? If they're going to splurge, is this the position to do it, or is there something else?
Draft that.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about the draft a lot, obviously, but I feel like in the spot in the draft we're at, this is a position I frequently do in my mocks. A lot of my drafts start with a cornerback. Probably the vast majority start with a cornerback. Sometimes tight end. Sometimes
wide receiver if it falls.
Interior. Not a ton of wide receiver late in the first round, unless I trade down.
All I see mocked to them is wide receivers.
Yeah, but
nobody I want is there.
But
I'm staying away. Well, we're not going to get into it.
Well, I think this is the kind of situation where you might see a wide receiver sneak in who was projected at 2 towards the later part of the first, which kind of puts us in line for something like that.
Yeah, the trick for me is I'm not trying to do a Zay Flowers or.
Yes, I agree.
Or Downs from North Carolina, these 2 guys that I think are going to be awesome, but they're 5'10" maybe and 170 pounds, and we've got Wan'Dale Robinson, and I mean, I guess it'd be cool to have 2 of them, but who's just tinier than them. But I feel like we need more of a prototypical, larger wide receiver if we're going to draft that high.
I like that idea, but I will point out that Shane did say that it didn't matter what the guy's size was. If they can create separation, then they'll get them involved in the offense. So
I know, and that's all.
Like we said before, it could be deception again.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The reason I feel like going wide receiver in the first round makes more sense is just because there's less options in free agency for wide receiver than there are cornerback. Yeah. But that being said, I think probably there's better cornerbacks to be picked at that spot than wide receivers too. Yeah. So it's kind of a conundrum of a place to be for a team that desperately needs wideout help, and there's really not a ton of it available, either in free agency or kind of where you are in the draft, unless you did want to go for a smaller guy, which I'm with you guys too. I'd rather get a bigger body personally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you guys think about inside linebacker for free agent list?
Well, there's only one name that everybody's talking about. This is Tremaine Edmonds, who was a former Bill. So, that's half the free agents they sign are former Bills. Mm-hmm. I think, just being a prototypical off-ball linebacker, just something the Giants have like really needed and never have had. It's essentially another reason why they had so many defensive backs out there. You know, he can cover, he can rush the passer. His run defense needs a little work, but I think that at the projected $10 million a year, I think this is probably the most likely scenario of all the free agents we spoke about, is that you're going to pair him with one of your more downhill guys in McFadden or Beavers, and you're, going to be able to finally, have linebackers out there on third down, which the Giants have not been able to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I could see easily inside linebacker being the one position that we pay the most for in free agency. Whether that comes to fruition will to be seen, but I feel like it's very recognizable that this has been a point of weakness since Antonio Pierce, basically. I mean, not to put Blake Martinez down, but that was not a long enough tenure to really, I don't know, figure him to be one of the better ones in the last 20 years.
Hey, didn't he lead the league in tackles one year?
Yeah, like with 160 something or something.
So would you say that he did catch them all?
Oh God,
nice.
Power to him with the Pokemon stuff, because he was doing it while he was playing, and he basically he saw the writing on the wall and the money in the bank, and he quit the Raiders basically because he could get more money elsewhere. And I don't know if he's just trading and selling or if it's from his own collection or something, but that's one of the stranger side stories of this offseason.
I guess it beats getting blasted in the head over and over again.
Well, he went to Stanford. He's no dummy. So I guess he figured I should probably figure out what my next thing is for the rest of my life. So power to him. It's all good. It was kind of a bummer how he went out. I'm sure it was just a scheme thing and they didn't want to pay him. That's fine. But it was kind of a little bit of a downer.
I have a new theory about it, and it's that they took the green dot away from him and he got all butthurt about it and wanted to quit the team. That's my theory.
You're probably not wrong, and that's insane because Wink Martindale's defense predicates around the fact that safeties are normally the guys calling the plays because that's just how he rules it. What's wrong with that? Just figure it out, man. Like, be a leader.
Guess it didn't work out. He wanted to be Raichu, but he was just Pikachu.
Pika.
That was easy. I wish I knew more Pokemon.
Yeah,
I feel like my daughter would absolutely love Pokemon just because she loves like naming animals.
Mm-hmm.
It's always talking about animals' names. We'll get there.
Yeah.
What else? Inside linebacker. I mean, obviously Tremaine Edmonds is I think what everyone's talking about. Who else do you guys like? I think there's people out there better than him. I think there's people that could make sense too coming in that are more veteran.
Yeah. I mean, the one that stands out most to me, just because of the draft pedigree, is Devin Bush.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously hasn't performed to his draft position, but I still think he's a really good athlete. And if you can sign him around $3 million a year, that might be, based on the evaluation, might be someone to go after. He's 24 years old. Mm-hmm. And he didn't have like non-existent production, and he was relatively healthy.
Maybe he needs to be in a better situation. Who knows?
Yeah, it seems to me that if you're a linebacker on the Steelers, but
I mean, like, he's not. I don't know, off the top of my head, he's not the biggest middle linebacker of all time. Isn't he a smaller type? That could work better for a 4-3.
Yeah, he's an off-ball linebacker. Which
there you go. Maybe a 3-4 typical is just not where he needs to be. Who knows?
Possible. I think Deion Jones is another guy who's pretty much exactly like Devin Bush in that scenario, who didn't have a great year, but has good athleticism, good pedigree, some production that could come in for cheap too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only guy I have on my list is Levante David.
Of course, that's these are like the automatic names right here.
Who is old, however, he's probably better than Edmonds rather. I don't know where you want to go if you want to bring in a vet like that, but who was going to be expensive, but not be around for a while. I would prefer not to sign a guy like that, but I think you really need to upgrade this position. So if you end up having to go to an older, guy, I'm not against it at this position, especially.
Yeah, I'm just so with where this team's at, it would really have to be a perfect fit to give an older player a big contract.
Sure.
And especially, I guess, at linebacker, I just don't see like having a lot of money allotted there is necessarily wise. But if we're talking about it position by position, it's definitely worth discussing.
Diving a little bit, we'll dive further down the line when we go really deep into the draft. But like, is there any exciting inside linebackers that could be in the early rounds that you've seen in your mock drafts? I've not really dug into that position yet.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I got their names escape me at this point, but I figured we would do. I mean, I guess I could pull it up.
I mean, you don't have to pull it up. I'm just this is kind of riffing. Like, is there a possibility of not worrying about spending the money in free agency on a player like that, and then maybe focusing in the draft more than anything else?
Because I think there's some interesting options in the second and third round at linebacker specifically.
I like that.
Really athletic guys that can cover, and they're not so much run stuffers. So yeah, no, I think there's a few dudes that I would keep an eye on for second, third round picks in the draft. Especially
it's funny.
Yeah,
we it's just like going to position by position right now, and we're not even doing all of them. It's so clear where our minds are in terms of not focusing on the free agency as much. I mean, granted, it's kind of like what we're given too. You look down on the list, and it's not like any position in particular screams anything exciting. Like, there's not that one guy that's just like, oh, you definitely need to pick him up. Like, it's just not like that.
It's just always just free agency is a way to like overspend your cap money, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never going to work. It doesn't always work out in your favor, and it kind of rarely does. And maybe rarely is not the right word, but I don't know. I just feel like our team is just 9 draft picks is not going to fill this roster with enough talent to make you competitive. So I don't know. I just feel like at this point, if we can bring in at least a couple high quality free agents, whether it's, wide receiver, cornerback, inside linebacker, I think, you're going to have to spend some money at least at one of those spots if you want to, be successful. The one thing too is like, I really hope they do get the wide receiver core squared away, because if Daniel Jones does come back, I would really love to go through a season without people having to be like, well, his wideouts are bad.
Yeah.
His wideouts,
That's a very good point. I mean,
I'm sick of it. I'm bored of it.
It's gotta be a point of contention for Shane as well. I mean, in that interview today, he was like, I didn't even see the first part of it. He alluded to questions about wide receiver when he was discussing Daniel Jones, and I was just like, all right, he must be hammered with that then. He knows he's no dummy, and he's got to do something to make it a little bit better, because it just wasn't cutting it this last year.
I don't know. I mean, it's just I've never been like kind of more nervous in an off season than I feel now, and because I kind of assumed things were going to go a certain way, and I was really taken aback by kind of how things are going now. So I don't know. I really hope that I'm going to put my trust in Joe Shane though, because what else can you do right now?
Yeah,
can you do much?
No, super excited.
Yeah. Are you excited? I mean, I'm excited. Don't get me wrong, but I'm scared that we're going to put the team together that is, I mean, we're still rebuilding, right?
Well, that's the thing. You got to keep that in mind. This might not be a this year thing. This might be a next season or the season after ultimate kind of thing. I know no, it's next season, if anything.
That's hard. It's just been hard for, I think, a lot of fans and maybe not myself included, but sometimes, because you did win a playoff game last year. So it's sort of like, while you're rebuilding, it's still tough to like admit that we're not going to maybe win a playoff game next year. And that's fine, because it needs to be thinking further down the line than that.
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of people like to do that, unfortunately.
It's big picture stuff. I mean, we've been in the hole for so long. You can't expect it to automatically turn around. Yes, you see some teams turning it around in a year, and that's what this league is built on. Parity. I get it, but it doesn't happen to everybody every year. So
you're right. I mean, it happened to us last year.
Yeah.
Essentially. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of teams who are horrible, have a good year, and are, regress the next year. It's not out of the question at all.
Huh. Wait, are the Rams' ears ringing right now?
Absolutely.
All right. The 3 linebacker names for you guys that I like in the second and third rounds: Trenton Simpson, Demarion Overshawn from Texas, and Drew Sanders from Arkansas.
Cool.
That's a name. I think Trent Simpsons might sneak into the first round.
Yeah.
He might, but I've been seeing him around 60s ish.
Okay.
It's going to be a hard pickup for the Giants unless they maybe move around, but that's totally not out of the question either. I think maybe. What do you think the odds? I mean, I don't know. We're not talking about the draft, but while I have it in my head, what do you think the odds are of those 2 third-round picks being packaged together for something?
I mean,
or do you think they want to get the most amount of players they can?
I think they get the most players.
Yeah,
I'm kinda with you,
probably.
man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be the slightest bit surprised if well, if there's going to be trades, it's going to be similar, trading back, not trading up.
I would
Acquiring.
think so too.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to trade out of the first round to get another second and another third.
I agree.
If you could swing that, I think that'd be great for where we're at. The only way I'd trade up is if you want to trade up further in the first round for something blue chip. I'm not going to trade like 2/3 for a second kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think they should sit where they're at. But if they do trade up, I mean, if you fall in love with somebody, I get it. You go for it. But I don't know who that's going to be.
Full bloom love, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Like me and you guys.
Yeah.
Or all of us together.
Yeah.
Man, if we all graduated from Duke at the same time, I would fall in love with us too.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. Should we hit on a little interior defensive line?
Yeah.
Did I just say interior?
Interior.
I meant to say interior defensive line. Excuse me. This is specifically a position where I think you're not going to
bring
get
him home?
crazy. Yeah.
Bring him home. You get Dalvin and Linval. Bring him back. Both of them.
Bring them
Double
both
trouble.
Back. Bring them both back.
No, just have an entire defensive line of our former defensive tackles.
Get Hankins back too.
Hankins,
yeah.
Re-sign Ellis. Nick Williams is out there.
Yeah.
It'd be ridiculous. But let's finish this up quick because I realized that we are going a little over time.
Crazy long, yeah.
I didn't realize that. Colin, thank you for letting me know. And I want to thank our wonderful streaming service for updating their software so that the private messages appear on the screen when it's in full screen. Amazing.
Nice.
That's a beautiful thing. Nick, throw me a couple names out there, guys. Who are we looking at?
I was serious about Dalvin Tomlinson.
Oh, really? You want to spend that much money? He's going to be expensive, though.
I don't know, maybe, but I would spend $8 million on a interior. I feel like
you already have like $30 million devoted to that to the line. I realize Williams is going to get restructured, but it's like a lot of money to invest in the defensive line. No.
Yeah,
but it's pretty important, and we have a really crappy run defense.
Mm-hmm.
Truth.
So,
I mean,
I don't know.
I'd go to Linval, man. Get old.
Top. Yeah, I could.
Yeah, get old with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan Hankins,
he's not even
30.
He's not even that old.
I'll bring back Hankins, man. I don't mind him.
I loved Hankins. I don't know if he's any good anymore, to be honest, but
no idea. I mean, you have
Jerry Tillery.
Well, you don't want
he was
Justin
pretty
Ellis
good back in the day, or not back in the day, but
Sheldon
out of
Rankins
the
from the
draft.
Jets might be someone you could get for cheaper. They have Michael Brockers like getting like $8 million a year last year. I feel like he's got to fall off, right? I don't know. That seems like a lot for him.
Oh, but he can be a knickerbrocker if he comes.
What about Ndamukong Suh? Would you sign him for $2 million a year? I'd do it.
He's 36.
Yeah, let's go.
No,
Let's go.
No, I
don't think that they should throw a lot of money at somebody in the interior defensive line right now. I think they should go for someone in the $2-3 million range. Again, It's going to be a rotational piece. I realize you need it, but I think focusing on the linebacker spot will help your run defense a little more, in my opinion, anyway.
And a gelling of the leadership too between the secondary and the defensive line.
Agreed. With that, I know we were going to touch on the combine, but we don't have time. We can hit on it next week when it has finished.
Concluded.
When it has concluded. Anyway, thank you for listening tonight, guys. You can follow us at BBU Podboys with a Z on Twitter, Big Blue United on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget to download the DraftKings app. You're going to use promo code TPPN when you sign up. And again, guys, check out NevenEyeware.com. Use promo code Big Blue for 50% off a pair of sunglasses. And have a good night. 100th episode. Thank you for being with us.